Awesome. Okay, let me know when we can, like, should I start? Start. I can see you on YouTube now. Perfect. Hi guys. Thank you so much for coming in. We'll wait for, I think, a couple minutes for you guys to come in. But I genuinely want to thank each one of you and all the amazing coaches that are here. We've had a first, fruitful conversation 30 minutes prior to this started. So I'm just so excited to hear more from these amazing coaches and to get your questions. So maybe, guys, we should give people a few minutes to join in. Does that sound right? Okay. And as we know, we're going to be talking about careers as CA, CPA, CMA, CS. What is it that you should be doing? How is it you should be planning your career? If you have questions, so we're going to be doing a fun AMA here, and I can tell you these are amazing coaches. I have learned so much in the last 40 minutes. I'm excited to learn more in the next hour. So we'll maybe wait for a minute, or maybe we can get started with introductions, whenever the coaches feel like we should start.
I think just let's wait for a couple of, I think 1 minute should be fine and we can start.
Sure. Then. Okay. Cool.
I hope people have budding questions on too.
I'm very sure it is. Yeah. I'm very sure I have a lot of questions.
I really hope it's not about how you make reels or TikTok and all of that. I hope it's about the subject per se.
Yes. I really look forward to that.
But knowing
that sounds more interesting, huh?
Right. But knowing Gen Z people, I wouldn't strike anything off. So
exactly. That's what I would ask if I were in class 12 right now.
Right.
That is true.
I think the kids these days are already very tech savvy, so they would be very prone to all that actions.
Oh yeah. They know apps that probably I have no idea about.
So true. I think maybe we should start because it's almost 7:33.
Perfect. All right, so I'll just go, I'll start with alphabetically. So maybe, Anirudh, you can go ahead and introduce yourself to us.
Sure, Nidhi. So my name is Anirudh Ramesh. I'm a recently qualified chartered accountant. I've qualified in the November 2020 attempt, about 6 months ago. One of these most famous pandemic batches that came through. I've literally gone to the exam centers wearing a mask, making sure that I wrote the exams for 16 days with a mask on. I qualified luckily with an All India rank 28. Prior to this, I'm born and brought up in Chennai, where I did my schooling. I went to Bangalore. I went to Christ University in Bangalore for my undergraduation, and I worked in Deloitte for my articleship in statutory audit. Realized that audit was not my cup of tea. Now I work at Flipkart as a business finance analyst, and it's a role that I thoroughly enjoy today. I work in supply chain, and it's something that I'm looking forward to continuing in the future as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Anirudh, and thank you for sharing your experience of writing exams in a mask. That is definitely something different and unique. All right, moving on to Pooja.
Okay. Hi everyone. I'm Pooja, and I am currently working as an assistant manager with KPMG. Via qualification, I'm a chartered accountant as well as a certified public accountant. I had my graduation from Sri Ram College, Delhi University, and I qualified in 2016. Currently working in deal advisory, looking into mergers and acquisitions and financial preparation. But prior to that, I carry an experience of auditing. So with all US listed and Indian listed accounts, I think I have done a lot in audit more.
That is exciting. You're my India counterpart. I am an audit as well. So thank you so much for being here, Pooja. Okay, Yash.
Thank you.
Hi everyone. My name is Yash Kotriwal, and I've done my graduation from Srinam College of Commerce. I started my CA journey just after 12th, I think, as most of us have done, and just completed my articleship at Deloitte, and thereafter, I'm currently working as a manager in Deloitte. So this is just wonderful being here with all of you people, and I think we can contribute to some of the confusions that you guys might have in terms of choosing degrees, in terms of doing what you want to do. Yep.
For sure. Thanks so much, Yash, for being here. And lastly, I would probably go ahead and introduce myself. Hey guys, my name is Nidhi. I am a chartered accountant, a CPA from the US, and I recently completed my CISA as well. I qualified CA in 2013. I worked in India for about 2 years, did mostly audit, moved to the US, did audit again, from external audit, moved to internal audit. I have been a senior internal auditor with a Fortune 1000 company up until yesterday. Starting Monday, I am an audit manager for a private equity company. So I'm very excited to be here, very excited to share our experiences, very excited to be talking to these amazing people. And hopefully we can throttle some of the questions and concerns that you have. So I will probably go ahead and start, and I don't want to waste even a minute. So I'm going to ask my amazing iconic coaches this. What do you think about upskilling? Like, do you think having CA or having just a CA1 degree or CS, do you think that is enough in today's time? And probably Anirudh and Pooja and then Yash, maybe we can go like that for this one.
Sure, Nidhi. So I'll probably start off by saying that recently qualified as a chartered accountant, I haven't started pursuing any other course in the meantime. But one thing that is extremely important in today's trying times, right, especially with people affected by the pandemic and a lot of other things going on as well, one thing is constant upskilling in whatever you do. In today's world, it is very important to stand out. You could be 90% of the crowd and still not get a job or still not land a good role, right? So one thing is you always have to be on your feet every single day and ensure that your 1% improvement happens on a daily basis. A 1% compounding effect is very important as it raises a very steep curve and it only goes upwards. And if you do not do that upskilling, you stay on the same tangent or the same parallel. So I think upskilling is extremely important, whether it is another professional course or if it is other small courses on other various platforms. That would be my 2 cents on it.
Okay. Pooja, what do you think about upskilling?
Maybe I feel upskilling is definitely required, and that's required in every stream of life, whatever you're doing or wherever you are, because every day, as Anirudh rightly say, you got to add that value onto your course, not just as a professional, but as a person. So I believe nothing in this world is limited, and you can always go. And in fact, I really appreciate the curriculum that we are in today's world, unlike what we were a few years ago, wherein, a science had to be very focused on science, not switch to other streams, but rather, you can explore. And I think that's where you really release the capacity of a person and let them try on to more things. So when I talk about upskilling specifically, I feel it's not just a CA, CS or a CPA run game, when you're into an organization, you upskill from a professional. Like, you change your roles, you venture onto different streams, maybe, I moved from audit into mergers and acquisition. Maybe, gradually I wish I'd get into tax, and then you keep on learning, right? So because the curriculum that you're studying does not actually restrict you. And all of these courses, I must say, fantabulously have designed themselves that you can study so many different things at one point of time. So when you're a chartered or you're CPA, you study law, you study audit, you study IT for that sake, the taxation. So you already are upskilled at this level. So the moment you step in further, I think adding on some more courses not just increases your viability or the variability you can enter onto, but also at the same time give you an opportunity to mix and get into different economies. Like, for example, I think if you're doing a CPA, you get to venture to US. You do an ACCA, you get to venture to Europe. So you open your markets, and I think that depends as a person, where you actually want to land up to. So that long-term goal, I think, is definitely paired along well when you have the upskilling factor onto it. So I think that's definitely required.
Of course. No, that is an amazing thought. I think upskilling is not just, qualification-wise, it's also professionally in your career as you go along. Perfect. Thanks so much. Yash, what do you think about upskilling?
I think I'll echo with both Anirudh and Pooja in terms of upskilling. Upskilling is very much required, and I think it has to be linked to a long-term goal where the individual wants to land up to after say a certain point of time, 5 years or 10 years down the line, where he or she wants to land up to. So upskilling, I think it is not only adding a professional course. I think as Pooja already mentioned, upskilling can be in any sort of things. So I'll just give you an example in terms of like big fours are hugely investing in innovations. The tech part. So we can definitely. It is not necessary that you need to go for another course. Like I need to do a CPA or for that matter CMA. I can do a data analytics course, which can be for a 3 months or a 4 months. That data analytics course is helpful in terms of understanding the data which you get for audit or for advisory. So upskilling is required, no doubt about it. It actually adds feathers to your cap, and it is very much important. So yeah, it totally depends. I think it totally depends on the individual, I would say.
Perfect. Thank you. I think there is nothing that I would want to add because I think all three of you have covered it so well. So now that we know, that upskilling is important, how does one start with the upskilling? Like, how do I start with the journey of upskilling? Maybe I'll go reverse this time. Maybe I'll ask you this first, yeah. But how do you think, one should start their upskilling journey? What's the first step? Or what is it that you've probably done, in your career? Should we look at doing another degree? Should we do anything else? What is your thought on it?
So I think via qualification I have completed my CA and CS. And in terms of upskilling, I do spend my time on the tech part, which is like data analytics, the blockchain technology. In this tech savvy world, we do have a lot of options. You just open a YouTube, you just type what you want to learn. There will be numerous videos, and you just need to select the right video, and you just need to just go through it, just learn it. It is upskilling does not require that you need to give an examination for it. You do not need to pass certain things. Upskilling can be in any form. Like even if you want to learn gardening and you're learning gardening, and you're taking a YouTube video, you're spending time on it. That is like upskilling. You're adding some skill to your skill set. So upskilling, I think it is very small acts. I think YouTube videos, watching YouTube videos, reading books. Books reading is like, I think I would recommend to each and every individual in terms of whatever author and whatever topic interests you, incites you. I think you should pick up that genre of book and you should go for it.
Okay. That is amazing. Thank you. Pooja, what do you think about, how should one start their journey?
Nidhi, for me, my upskilling journey really started when I moved to Delhi. So I come from a small place, and my exposure in my college actually gave me the opportunity to start my upskilling journey. Wherein I always feel that your surrounding really matters as to how you actually frame your rest of the career path. So if you're motivated, you'll definitely get to the place that you want to seek yourself after 5 years or 10 years. But before that, you will need to make the right choice of right people, right curriculum, and the right arena where you feel that you can excel. So I always remember that while I was in standard 10th and my parents always wanted me to be a doctor, I knew that physics really scared me, and I could definitely fuck up into that paper stating that I can't go for physics. So I knew that I had to choose commerce. And when I chose commerce, I knew where I had to land up in the journey. So that upskilling thing, started at that very same moment when I decided that commerce it is. The next course is the CA. And when I entered into my, the college thing, and I went into my articleship, the next level of upskilling started there when you started doing more of those clients. So it was not just an Indian environment. I was working for the US clients, and then there is where I got to know, okay, there's something called CPA, and that's a validation that you get to an exposure. And as Yash also said, that the data analytics thing, that was a recent upskilling that we had into audit, because it became as a mandate that technology had to be included into an audit. So the journey of upskilling is into the arena that you're working. That's what I said. So if you're into a stream where you're seeing that something is really coming into an action, I think one should pick that up quickly if you want to make that right move at the right time. So if you just wait to see how things would react, I think YouTube, for that example, or any other social media progress that people have done, I think people just upskill themselves to go onto this platform and make videos and do everything, right? So the journey of starting yourself as an upskilling professional starts from within, wherein you want to seek an opportunity. Okay, that I want to grow. That's the step one. Step two is never restrict yourself. Keep yourself open to everything that you can do, but keeping in mind what you can do. I mean, not restricting, but still being open and being very prudent to judge. And I think when I was there, I always like playing at something which is my forte. I mean, I know I can do. And the third thing is that, as Yash said, you have to research a lot as to what suits your need. I think that's what we are here for today, that, where we can discuss that what you should pick and what you should not. You meet people, you discuss, and you've got so much to explore on this platform these days. I say the kids today are really, really blessed to have an exposure of so much of social media onto their hands, with so much of Google page. You just type in something, you get an information. I think that's the third thing that you require to go for upskilling. So once you're done with all of these homeworks, I think you can choose what best suits you and then just go for it. I mean, nothing stops you. And the best thing is, age is never a restriction. I mean, I see so many people, in fact, partners in our offices who are around 57, 58, and they're actually so keen to learn the data analytics things. Sometimes you really feel that, generally people, when they grow old, they tend to be like, okay, fine, whatever is there is going on. But these guys are so proactive, so keen that, it automatically flows into your blood that, okay, I also have to be like that, else you're left behind. So I think all of these makes a really good combination to start your upskilling. And once you're through it, I think that's the best. You can just go ahead.
For sure. No, thank you, Pooja. I think that is such an enlightening insight into upskilling. Starting early. I think that's very important, and then starting with the right people right at the end. Okay, Anirudh, what do you think about upskilling? And I asked you this because you are, so new to this, and you've just started working, you've just qualified. What have you thought about yourself in future? Like, is there a game plan that you think others should also have?
Sure, Nidhi. So I don't think I've actually planned for my career. I have to be somewhere in 5 years or 10 years down the line. It's something that actually happens in a natural progression of sorts. I probably know that it's something I want to be at. Probably 5 years later, I want to be in a different country, right? That's about it. I'll probably move out of India. But I don't have a specific goal in mind or a key characteristic I want to capture, right? I probably want to add on to what Pooja and Yash said in two major points. While Google and social media are so much available today, right? There is also something that I've personally been through, which is information overload. In terms of, I feel that there is so much that comes to me today that I don't know what to filter out and use for, right? I feel like I'm bombarded with so much information. Probably, YouTube Premium, Spotify Premium, so many news apps which come out with their premium features that I subscribe to each of them, and I don't follow any of them diligently. So I feel... I also feel that people have a fear of missing out, or FOMO as it's called, that if I do not do something which my friend is doing, I will lose out on life, because that is something that has to be done today. And that is a very wrong notion in my opinion. And I personally fell into this trap as recent as 4-5 months ago, because I felt like I had to learn options trading because that was where money was, right? And I didn't understand a word of options trading. I still don't. And I realized, as Pooja mentioned, that you identify your niche and probably start upskilling in that direction, right? And it could be as simple, my second point being, it could be as simple as learning video editing. In terms of probably starting your own YouTube channel, right? So something as simple as that is also upskilling. It doesn't have to be a degree or a course. While those degrees and courses extremely do add value to your resume, right? These small things also really matter, and people don't realize that is what I feel. And I have personally been through the journey and learned it in the process.
Yeah. Thanks, Anirudh. I'm just one last thing that I want to add from my personal insight on upskilling is that I've never had a plan in my life, and I think my life turned a certain way because I didn't have a plan. The only thing I knew was that whatever I pick up, I will give it my 200%. Because I knew that coming from India, and I moved here when I was 24, and being an immigrant, not having studied here, things were very different for me. So I would just say that you shouldn't want to have a plan when you're in your early 20s. I'm 30 now. If you ask me, what do I want to do 5 years from now? I don't know. When I became a CA, I wanted to get into investment banking because that was the thing. Everybody wanted to get into investment banking. I've written about it so many times. And it just wasn't happening. And then life has turned out a certain way that from Monday, I am joining an investment banking company. So, I think having a plan is good, but that plan has to be very real, and it has to change. It has to be modifiable. And you shouldn't get hell-bent on having a plan. If you don't have a plan, that's fine too. Just live in the moment and try to do your best every single day. Also, I'm completely with you, Anirudh. I think there's a lot of information out there today. Make sure that whoever you choose to be your guide, just make sure that they are, somebody that whose journey you can correlate to. You can feel that you relate to in some ways. Otherwise, you will end up having a very parallel life as opposed to your mentors that you may find online. So thank you. I know we have some questions from the live session, but unfortunately, I am not able to see them.
I'll just help you, Nidhi. The first question that comes from Varshini Rayala. She mentions is how difficult is it to find jobs in USA with CA Inter plus CPA US? Is it important to complete CA if you want to work in USA? And what kind of skills I should build to land a job?
Okay,
I think we can take it in parts. We had a lot of them.
So this is what a director of mine told me when I was recruiting. My first job was with BDO US, and when I was recruiting for campus, I asked him, how do we find the right people? Because when they hired me, I was an Indian CA with 2 years experience, no idea about US GAAP. So he told me, just find people who are good, like you can have a good conversation with, and who are willing to learn. That's it. Because what we do is not rocket science. We can teach them auditing. We can teach them tax. So find people that you can work with, and find people with whom you feel like your wavelength match. So I think people don't look at you necessarily as a body that's out there to do work. We all spend about 80% of our lives with our colleagues. When, all our youth, if you combine our youth and stuff, the maximum amount of time you're spending is with your coworkers. So everybody just wants to work with nice people who are willing to learn and who are committed. I can tell you this, it doesn't matter what you do here beyond your work, as long as your work is 100%. So I wouldn't say you need a degree necessarily. I have a very close friend, and I actually put up a video on YouTube about this, who's a CA Inter, and was able to find an amazing opportunity here in Toronto. And she's not the only one. I know so many people who've done that. I think, one, you need to be willing to learn. Two, you need to have a direction. You need to have some idea about where you want to go. So, for example, if you're a CPA US, you should know what is it that you want to specialize in. Do you want to be on the tax side? Do you want to be on the accounting side? Do you want to be on the fin reporting side? Which side do you want to be on, at least at the start of your journey? You can always move around, but at least where do you want to start? And then really being technically strong. I think nothing beats that. You have to know your basics. And that is where I personally feel I've seen people struggle the most. When I recruit people in Toronto, that's where I see people struggle. Basics are not quite there yet. So work on your basics. Don't worry about the degree. Whatever you're studying, whatever you're doing is fine. And be committed to what you're doing. Give 100% to what you're doing. Don't constantly think about what else should I do. So that's probably my 2 cents on that. But I will now ask the coaches to add.
I think you're rightly saying, but Varshini, one question that you said, that is it important to complete CA if I want to work in USA? I think that's a no completely, because CA is not actually so very valued in US as compared to CPA. So if you want to go into that accounting profession, I think CPA makes more sense as to CA. But CPA has its own parameters that you really got to meet before you say that you're eligible to write for the exams. I think we can take the up later in the session, Nidhi, but definitely a no for that. And secondly, as she rightly said, that you have to have the good set of communication, because the basic challenge, in fact, that when we as professionals talk to people across the different geographies, is that, communication really becomes a barrier. And that's where you got to have really great skills where you can talk to people and be able to explain what you're trying to say. If you're able to do that, I think you can nail across any section of the life, be it a job or be it into any personal arena. Yeah. So I think that's what is more required.
That's true. Yeah, you have to make sure people are on the same page. Also, one quick thing that I want to add, doing a college degree is important. I mean, even if you have a bachelor's, that is very important here. So, because I know a lot of people do CA without, doing college. I would recommend that you get a bachelor's. It is absolutely required to move ahead in your career, and they will verify it. So, get it. Okay, what's the next question?
I think next question can be more for Yash. It's how to do CS training and CA articleship together.
There you go, Yash. This one's for you.
I think that is the tough one. Tough one in terms of, because I did it separately. So because CS training is something I did it post completion of my articleship. So this was something I did it separately. But yeah, if you want to pursue it together, I do not think that is an option, which is given by either of the institutes, that you can do because each of the trainings involve your efforts full time. You cannot do halfway. So you have to do at two different points of time. Either you do CS training first and then go for the articleship training, or you do articleship first and then go for the CS training. So in terms of the number of months, I think CS training is 15 months. I'm not sure because I've done it like 5 years back. So if that 15 months still holds good or not. But articleship training, CA training is 3 years. So I think you have to spend that 4.5 years. unless and until there is another shortcut to it, but yeah.
I think that won't be really wrong.
No, but you don't get any credit for like doing CS training in articleship or doing articleship training in CS.
Absolutely not. I don't think so. They're not. I think, in fact, for CA, I was also shocked that while we were getting evaluated for different states for CPA, I think they didn't really consider CA much onto it. It was only the grads and the masters that they were considering.
That's right. I remember that. Yep.
And that was really painful, I must say. I almost got pissed off that they don't even consider CA. How is that possible?
Yeah. Or they consider it lower. I remember when I got my CPA evaluated for Canada, they rated it lower than my BCom. And I was like, can they go and write this exam and pass it? If they can, then I'll rate it lower than my BCom.
I'm like, you never can compare those. I'm like, and you would also agree to the fact that the 4 papers versus these so many papers across that lifeline of the CA. Sure. I think they're definitely not comparable. I found personally CPA so very easy in front of CA, where you just to take those MCQ questions and they were like, it's done.
Yeah, you can do it in a couple of months.
True. Yeah. And you just got to have that understanding of the subject. And I think via curriculum, I think I have that biasness for CA, wherein the level of exhaustive study that we do here is, and plus the training and everything. They actually train you handling that work pressure along with those study life balance. And I think that's the CA final thing is the one landmark which really proves that you're fit to get into that professional world finally, wherein you are done with your study with those long extensive hours of articleship. I think nothing beyond that. I'm like CPA or any other course for that matter is far easier, at least of that sense.
For sure. How is CS, Yash, when you compare it to CA? And what was your career experience? I'm just curious to know. You did a CS and a CA. What has been your career experience like?
So I completed my company secretaryship, post qualifying CA, but I haven't used that degree anywhere in terms of choosing my career path, because I did my articleship at Deloitte, and post qualification I joined Deloitte, and it has always been like into Deloitte, into auditing, into accounting advisory, into IFRS, US GAAP, where I think CS does not play any role. CS is not there at all. But yeah, it totally depends. I think if you ask me, if somebody is pursuing CS and wants to do something on the legal side, on the law side, I think it is advisable. I think it is totally depends on the individual where what is his intent of doing that particular course. For me, I would say personally, yeah, this was just a feather in my cap. But yeah, I haven't used this degree as much. Yep. But
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
it totally depends. I think if somebody wants to do CS and wants to pursue something on that particular side, on the secretaryship side, I think they should go for it. It is no restriction. If you have done CA, you have to do, you have to pursue that particular profession only. I think, yeah.
Thanks. Anirudh, one question for you. You are so young and you've started working in this big organization like Flipkart. Do you ever feel that you are not being treated like how people sometimes tend to write off younger folk because they have lesser experience? Do you ever feel that, or do you feel like CA has made up for your like people are looking at you as a chartered accountant and not as the new kid on the block?
Sure. So I probably do feel like the new kid on the block, considering that I'm pretty young at the moment. But I also feel that I've actually seen a transition right from home to the people I interact with after clearing my examinations. Because in their minds and in their head, I'm a chartered accountant ultimately, right? So I've actually seen that transition happen. So it's not really only a new kid on the block. I do probably get treated pretty well, honestly. But when I say this, I'd also like to point out how it's not fair that articleship is not counted as work experience. And that happens everywhere that I go, right? So I'm probably someone with 0 years of experience, even after finishing 3 years at Deloitte. So that's something that I'd like to call out today. And probably the institute is watching as well.
I want to add on to that. So when I've gone and introduced myself, at least in North America, I've made it a point that I've always said I have 10 years of experience. Because in my mind, I did not do 20 hours that people here do for internships. I did more than 40. Like most of us do it more than 40, right? We do 60 probably. So I've done way more than that. So I'm pretty sure in India it's not. But guys, if you're making your resumes for global opportunities, just don't use the word articleship. No one understands it. Put it in your resume as regular work experience, and when you have the conversation, that's when you tell them that you started chartered accountancy very young, and that's why you got that work ex very young. So, Anirudh, I have to tell you this: it is counted as work ex, not in India, but definitely outside, and also for your immigration purposes and stuff, it is full time work ex.
That's amazing to hear.
It's a little comforting now.
It is.
Yeah. Okay, do we have any more questions? I'm sorry, I have no visibility into this.
I will just read. I think that's the easiest question for all of us to answer. Which Big Four is good after completing CA? Is it KPMG or Deloitte? I think we have panel people from both.
We have 4 people, so I think one of us can take it. One name is good.
I think my state to this would be maybe that all of them are equally good, and it's more of the kind of exposure you're getting onto the different Big Fours. So when I was a part of EY, I was working on all tech clients, and it all depends where you are paired in. So the type of work that's floating on all of these Big Fours are really very variant, and all of them are challenging. So wherever you are, I'm pretty sure that the kind of grooming that you're looking forward to, or the exposure, it's definitely going to be a world-class one. But you got to really choose when you got to switch. I mean, like that is very, very important, because the Big Four guys really tend to make you a specialization onto one stream. So if you're doing a tech client, you're generally allocated the tech clients here over and over again. So you really need to be understanding the point that when you need to get up and say, boss, I'm done, and I really need to move to a new sector. And I think they offer these kind of switches these days, which was not possible. Like when I did my articleship, I still remember that changing a client was also so difficult. Wherein if you were paired for a client, it was almost for 3 years that you're doing that client. Unlike these days, when I see kids that they can just say that, I'm done with this client, and then that's changed. So I think these kids are really privileged. So, all of these Big Fours are good, and you can choose any one of them, but just be wise to know that, once you've learned a specified skill set, when is the right time to switch and make a move? And I think that's a very important thing in your life too.
Yeah.
Over to you guys.
Well, how about others? All of you all have worked in Big Four way more than I have. So I think you guys can.
Sure, I'll probably take it up. I think it also matters on the people you're tagged under, right? Because your experience at a Big Four depends on the manager who's probably over you.
Oh, yeah.
So there might be a few rotten apples, not to probably say the phrase, but there could be some people who aren't probably as nice to you as other managers are, right? So I would say my experience at Deloitte at least has been really good in terms of the exposure that I got or the people I worked under. But there have been engagements where there are one or two managers who I didn't like working under. And the exit opportunities that Pooja correctly mentioned, I've probably left audit because I wanted something more challenging, something more interesting in the business domain. And not probably sticking to IFRS and accounting gap. I wanted to explore further. And that was probably why I left Deloitte.
Yeah. But you've done 3.5 years in a Big Four. So you've done your part. Okay.
Right.
Yash, how about you?
I think I'll echo with both of them in terms of articleship with any of the Big Four. I think if you land any of the Big Four articleship and the kind of as Pooja rightly mentioned, the kind of grooming, the kind of exposure you need, I think any of the Big Four will provide you. And my personal experience in terms of the articleship, I was very fortunate enough. And I think Anirudh rightly mentioned, it is very important that whom you are tagged with, who is your supervising manager. That is very important. I was fortunate enough to have a good manager under whom I was working with, and he gave me ample opportunities in terms of various sectors, various types of clients, not only audit, be it accounting advisory, be it IFRS, be it US GAAP. But yeah, I think it is very important. It totally depends with whom you are tagged to. Having said that, I think even if you're tagged to, let's suppose, as in Anirudh's words, rotten apple, but I think you should make a wise decision in terms of if you are done and if you have learned that particular skill set, and if you are done with particular sector, if you have been doing like 1 year on one particular client, you can very well these days you have the option to say. I think Pooja rightly mentioned, in our days it was nothing. We were like we were just told you have to go there, have to start this. There was nothing as we had a say in. But I think now the culture has changed. Big Four has improved a lot in terms of allocations and other stuff. I think people and the learners, the CA aspirants, they can very well choose what they want to do, and for advocates it. Each and every firm advocates it. I think they mention it, they say it, that if you want to do it differently, even if you want to change your stream from audit to tax, they encourage it. It is, I think times have changed, but times have changed for good.
I think you're right to say that, Yash, the kind of communication and, that two-way open communication that has that has come into all the organization. I think that's really commendable, because I remember our time, we were so afraid to even utter a word, thinking how things would really turn out, as to now kids coming up and saying upfrontly that, I don't get this or I don't get that, and it gets sorted. I'm like, I really feel happy. I always used to say that I want to be a person who can lead that change, and I feel when I see these new gen people doing that, it's such a good feeling that, you see them actually practicing it so well. So I think you're right to say that. It's really a good feeling to see it.
No, seriously, and it has changed for good. I think two-way communication is very important, because I think somewhere down the line, as I think Anirudh, left the organization because he was not given the kind of an opportunity that he was looking for. So I think people, do leave organizations because they are not getting good opportunities, or they're not getting to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
So now I think new gen people are very clear in terms of what they want. They are like, boss, okay, I've done with 3 months. I want a different client.
Yeah.
There is one discussion that I'm having with one of the articles, and he's like, Yash, I'm done with this particular client. I'm like, okay, I've got one more client. I think it is from a different sector. I think if it interests you, please come and at least join that particular team. So I remember at my point of time, such discussions were like,
I need a manager like this who can still give me this choice.
Seriously, it was just like dreams. We used to dream, यार. आज बॉस को जाके बोलेंगे कि मुझे ये क्लाइंट अब और नहीं करना.
ये नहीं करना. आज expenses नहीं करेंगे, कुछ भी हो जाए. And then you're again doing that expenses.
I can actually vouch for that.
Oh my
I can
god!
actually
I
vouch.
remember timesheets,
Yeah.
man, from Big Four. That's the only thing I was excited about when I was leaving. I was like, oh god, no more time, no more putting in your time. Okay. All right. I think that has answered that question pretty well. Is there some other question that we have?
There is a very multitasking student in the group asking, how can a student do all CA, CS, CMA together? Why do you want to do that so many years ago?
Yeah,
One degree.
well, you know that
One degree is more than
I
sufficient.
I wouldn't advise you to do all of that together because I want you to live your life. You're only going to be 18 once. You're only going to be 20 once. You know, if you end up doing, if you start taking so much pressure, because let me tell you, after your past 25, life is boring. Okay, you're not going to be doing. You may be imagining that you do a lot of things, but you're such an adult that it's difficult to do things that you thought you'd be doing. So this is my advice, and I'm so glad I personally took this advice too, because when I was doing CA, a lot of people were like, but you're a good student, you should do CS as well, you should do CMA as well. अरे 3 साल की articleship पे FRM कर लो. अरे what is another degree? There was something else also. FRM कर लो and then CFA कर लो. So I did my research and I was like, man, there's no way. I mean, when am I going to find time to go out with my friends? There was no way that I could be doing all of that. And I'm so glad I stuck to it because I think I've been able to, that is where I developed my dedication or my commitment to excellence. You know, because when I was young, I decided I'm going to do CA, but I'm going to do it so well that nobody's going to be able to say a no to me. So I think you shouldn't want to do, you should want to be, I mean, of course, try to do as much as you can, but really do what you want to do. And maybe if you do 1 or 2 things, you might probably be amazing at it. So if you think you can manage all 4 or 5 curriculums and just be excellent at all of it, do it. But just always know that there's always, you know, a cost to bear at the end of it. And sometimes it may be family time, sometimes it may be your friends, sometimes it may be your social life. Which I don't think is a lot of fun. I personally felt that I lost a year and a half in terms of, I lost a lot of friends when I was studying for CA finals. I think a lot of us have. and I never reconnected with them again, right? So I do have some regrets. So I don't want you to go through that. That's my advice. But yeah, I would want the other coaches to add on to it.
I think my say would be definitely, you know, jack of all trades, master of none is not an option. Though these sounds very relatable to each other, but like, you know, you should know, as Yash said, that, you know, you want to practice onto law, CA with a CS is a good combination. You want to go for a US working, CPA is a good option. But that's, you want to choose. But, you know, at the age of 25, rightly said, when you move at that stage and you look back and see what have you done in your life, it's nothing but just books. And yes, and after a long point of time, you know, after you've been working for so long, you still, and that's where, you know, upskilling is required because you're done with that section so much. So if you want to do so many things, do it one by one, you know, one baby step, live it for some time, live the pace and then move to something else. But doing all of them at one go would confuse you कि choose क्या करें, practice क्या करें, because अगर CA, CPA सब बन जाओगे तो करना क्या है, will be, you know, कहना क्या चाहते हो, so it will be more like करना क्या चाहते हो. So choose it, do it, but do it at a pace. You know, like I feel मैंने CA करा 16 when I qualified, then I did my CPA in 2018 because I felt कि हाँ ठीक है, now it's right time that I need a upskill and I need to switch also. So choose your pace, but pace choose करने में ऐसा मत होना that, you know, you're so much into books कि शायद जिंदगी जीना भूल जाओ. Because at the end of the day, your life is really important. I think COVID has taught all of us that, you know, the lives do matter. So live everything with a pace and enjoy whatever you have learned. I think that's what is more important. Over to both of you.
Yes,
I don't think I have anything to. Yeah, please go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, please go ahead.
I mean, I probably don't have anything else to add apart from the fact that, you know, it's very important to stay in the present. And also, like, I mean, like, adding to what Nidhi said, right? After 25, 26, I probably don't know how that feels. And I probably don't want to experience it as well. I'm probably more than happy to stay where I am today. And it's okay to be probably seen as the new kid on the block sometimes, if I can say. But apart from that, I think I don't think I have any other thing to probably, you know, explicitly mention here. So over to Yash.
No, I think I'm also, you know, completely aligned to what Nidhi and Pooja said. it's very important that you should understand the each and every one of us should understand the opportunity cost of what you are doing. Opportunity cost is very important. That cost benefit analysis, it has to be done whatever you are doing. It is not only the professional career choice, be it your personal choices. I think that cost analysis is like the key. And life does matter, as I think everybody has said. So enjoy life, and whatever you choose, whatever you do, I think the profession, stick to the one that you want to, which actually interests you and which you want to truly do it. Because from my personal experience, I completed or I did my CS only because of this combination thing. This CA and CS is a very
Deadly
good combination, and you will.
Yes, at that point it was CACS.
Seriously, CACS is a very good combination. You'll reach the end of the earth by doing it.
So true.
So I did it only because of this good combination of a concept. But yeah, I think that the combination can be everything. I think one professional course with daily upskilling. I think the section that we covered on upskilling is very important. If you do daily upskilling, that is more than sufficient, more than enough.
For sure.
Yeah, individual choices again.
Yeah.
So the next question is going to excite all of you, I think, and I think...
is it about salary?
Is it okay, I'm wondering this question didn't come up, so yeah. So yeah, it is, CA India does not earn much even after giving so much hard work for 5 years.
They're not? Okay, I want to say this.
I'm sorry, Pooja, could you repeat the question? I'm sorry, I didn't get it.
Oh, sorry.
It's CA in India does not earn much even after giving so much hard work for 5 years.
Okay, I disagree first of all, because I post jobs on Twitter every day and I post 7 to 8. I think the number of jobs that I've seen for CAs during the pandemic, that's number one, it hasn't changed. I think for every other profession, I've seen a slight decline. Second, I'm not gonna deny that the opportunities are probably lesser, but it's because of the economic situation that we're in. But CA is a safe course. You're gonna get paid. Like you'll be paid well enough to have a decent life. Of course, you won't be a multi-millionaire with it because everybody starts slow. It's just how life is. When you're 22, you shouldn't be expecting to earn 50 lakhs. That's the reality of it. And I don't think people abroad make a lot, because I think what people miss is that you're earning in dollars, but you're spending in dollars. And there's a lot here that you have to see. In India, you have your house, you have everything set, right? Your parents have a lot of capital that or net worth that they've put into your life. Or you probably already have a house that your parents own. But here it's not that. So you have to plan your retirement savings, you have to plan your assets, your own investments. This is a place you have no idea about. You're going to lose some money, and you have to make sure that your family back home is comfortable. So you do end up making, I would say, decent amount. But again, if you ask people who are as CAs who moved here, a lot of them will tell you they're not satisfied, because unfortunately, we're not going to be multi-millionaires. Some of us will be, but not all of us. It's not the degree that takes you anywhere. You take the degree and you go somewhere. You make something of it. So that's my thought on it. And I think CAs are fairly well compensated in India, for that matter.
I think I'll echo with that, Nidhi.
Probably add on to this fact that, like what Yash mentioned in the beginning, right? Our cost for the entire course is pretty minimal compared to everything else out there. So I'm probably talking about, if I'm talking about the institute's fees itself in terms of all the 3 levels, I think we spend close to 50,000-60,000. And I probably would say that an average CA, right, probably after you qualify, irrespective of your number of attempts you've taken, does get fairly compensated. I think your entry level roles do start from 6 to 7 lakhs per annum. And that is a good enough starting criterion compared to a lot of other professions out there in India. So I would probably, respectfully disagree to the comment and probably say that CAs are pretty much valued, and this will only improve going forward.
I agree. Yeah, and I think even if you just consider CA Institute ka cost along with, maybe taking up something like Unacademy, which is so, available to you guys for so cheap. I mean, us cost ko bhi agar aap add karo, and then if you look at ROI, tabhi bhi the ROI of CA is, much higher than a lot of other degrees that are out there.
Obviously, in fact, Nidhi, that also matters, how you're taking your choices to be again. If you're pursuing CA and for example, Anirudh is with Flipkart as a business analyst, or for that say we are working with Big Four, or if you're able to land into some good organization, I'm pretty sure the ROI is way too much better than what you've invested. And it's not just that, it doesn't stop there. The more versatile you become, or the more additions that you do to yourself, keeps on it's like that wine. The older it goes, the better it becomes, and that's how you pay in this industry. So I think saying that CA don't earn well is absolutely a wrong thing, because I think I still remember the articleship fees that these guys get these days itself is compensating enough that within the first year of your articleship, I think you're able to recover the entire amount that you've been investing in the whole course. So that's whooping enough for you to be, kind of cover that across. I know most of the people are not able to get that good fair compensation, but I think Institute has already got those setups done wherein, I think there's a minimum set of stipend that they're supposed to pay. So I think you're able to cover it in the first year of your articleship. So what else do you require? The rest of all is an income to you.
Okay, that's good to know. Do we have any other question? That's our objective.
There are many skills that we should learn before joining articles in top 24. I think there is a question for CMA. Let's just take that. There were two questions. I'll just merge them across. First is it a good idea to switch the career in the initial years from a personal finance industry to a corporate industry by doing CMA US? I think no. And the second one works as, I'm in CMA final. Is it the right time to start CA, or should I skip this plan? So I think both of them are kind of, to each other.
Well, I don't think there is a right time or a wrong time, because it depends on your individual capacity. If you think that you have the mental bandwidth to start CA and to give your 100% to it, or to give your 90 even, I think then you should start it right now. But if you feel that you don't have that mental bandwidth, just given the situation we're in, pandemic, mental health is not doing very well, I would say don't take on an additional load if you're not able to commit to it. But if you're able to commit to it, go for it.
I think like he said, and I think I would also agree that, switching between industries is purely your choice about how you feel that, what exposure is that you're looking forward to, because it's always that, I think Anirudh in the very beginning said that, I might just plan for next 5 years, and the remaining 5 would be when I reach that 5. So if you want to switch from finance to a corporate, I think it's you who would be a better judge to decide what actually you want. Do you want that section wherein you want to meet with so many different professionals and companies, or is it that what you're doing currently is fine for you? So for that sake, Anirudh has switched to Flipkart, so he has chosen his industry. We guys, me and Yash are still into Big Four, interacting with different clients, so that's the section that we are. So I think you got to make that judgment of yourself, and to make that judgment, you got to talk to other people, somebody of your peers who are already doing CMA, and they'll be able to tell you how that experience is about switching onto these industries, and then take a wise call onto it.
Yeah. I think I would just like to add one more thing about, industries, is that the industries that existed 10 years ago, or at least when I was starting out in my career, I thought XYZ industry will do amazingly well in the next decade, but they kind of fail. That's because we are in such an evolving world. Like green finance is such a big thing now. The jobs that are supposed to come in the next 10 years are very different from the jobs that were there when I was starting my CA. So just be also aware of what's going on, follow the World Economic Forum. They have reports coming out every quarter. You should always know where is the world heading to. It's only then that you can kind of be a part of a solution that's bigger. And that will help you, you'll be well compensated, trust me, if you are a part of the solution for the world. And then you will also be happy because you will never be redundant. I think a lot, just yesterday somebody was asking me, can you suggest something for oil and gas? Just an example, guys, but fossil fuel industry, the world has moved away from it. unfortunately so, or whatever, the reality of it is, corporates are moving away from it. So then maybe not looking at fossil fuel industry is the smart choice to make. I think we need to constantly be aware of what's going on. And like I said, World Economic Forum is a great place. LinkedIn reports are a great place to get your information from. So whichever market you're in, know what's happening. If I'm in Toronto, I know what's going on in Toronto. If you're in Delhi, you should know what's going on in Delhi. And like I said, there are so many reports. Go read them, do a simple search online. But you should know where the world is heading. That will help you stay successful in your career. And when you're switching industries, you'll make a smart choice.
True. I think we are done with most of the questions. The rest of them are quite relatable to each other. But I think we can go to that final switch of the call stating CA, CPA, CMS or CS.
Yes.
What should it be? Let's just take that call quickly.
Okay, I think I'll go with Anirudh first because he's the one who's done none of it. so I'm going to first.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's coming across as a good thing or a bad thing. But I'll probably say that I think the whole discussion is revolved around what is the best fit for you and where do you see yourself getting into. For example, if you're someone who's interested in law and the legal aspects of it, CS is a very good choice. And you already have a very strong accounting. And to just add on to something here, right? I feel CA gives you a very varied exposure because to do any other course over and above CA, right? You already have accounts, taxation, financial management, and all of that, auditing, right? So you can always probably go into something niche over and above this. If you're more interested in financial reporting or accounting, CPA should be your go-to degree. If you're interested in management accounting and costing for the matter, CMA should be your go-to degree. And if you're interested in legal aspects, CS should be your thing. So identify your niche. And also to add to what Pooja mentioned, right? Do not be a jack of all trades and master of none. It's always better to be a jack of all trades and master of maybe two, right? So a CA along with something else as well. So probably try identifying that exact niche. It might take some time. Probably finish your CA, take a break for a year or two, and then take a call. So I think that would probably be where I can stop it at.
Mm-hmm. Pooja, you've done CPA. You've taken the break. You've done CPA in 2 years after you did your CA. How do you think that break sort of helped you come up with the right degree? And how do you think CPA changed your career path? Why did you choose CPA?
So choosing CPA was, the idea floated into my head, as I told you, while I was doing that US client, wherein, I just got that idea that if you want to make yourself versatile and a little more exposed to the US markets, I was actually looking for a job across the globe. I wanted to move down to US. Unluckily, I'm still here. Thanks to COVID, as I was moving. But just hearing the case, I think I can still be optimistic that somewhere down the line I'll be able to make that move. But I think CPA was required for two reasons. Firstly, when you're auditing something, my personal passion was that I give 100% to the accounts and I should understand what they're doing. And that was the moment when, India had just set their steps into India's and we were transitioning into that section. So Indian GAAP had become redundant. India's was the picture. And, US GAAP and IFRS was somehow related to each other. So I just thought that, firstly, to just make sure that I'm not going redundant, I'm all updated. I wanted a course that I could pursue and also understand these new literatures because, IGAP was way too different than India's for all those discounting things coming in picture. So the first thing that I had to do was that identify why CPA, because it was an easier course for me. Secondly, all the clients that I was serving was, they really were happy to know if a CPA was working onto their account. So that gave me an edge. And thirdly, if I had to choose between a course that was either an ACC or a CPA or a CA, I found that CPA was more relatable to me because of the kinds of exposure and my long-run plan to settle down. So doing CPA, that was the reason I chose it. Now, when I did, what was the advantage? Again, the client recognition really became very, very prominent. The moment, the client gets to know that you're a CPA and you're handling a US account, they really become very satisfied that there are the least chances of errors. Though, as a professional, you're not expected to make any error, but the level of comfort directly becomes an easy thing. Secondly, looking into their accounting standards when you're working across with them, you knew where to read upon, how to go to which section and find out the matter. So that became very, very helpful. So that was the reason I chose CPA. And the difference that I feel is that your exposure to industry also increases. So now if I want to go for a job change, there are so many MNCs sitting across in India who are ready to hire me because I have that degree which they're looking forward to. You always have that CA/CPA and CPA preferred. So I think doing CPA in addition to CA gives me an edge, but rightly said, take a break to understand what you want to do. I can be just a CA and live my life happily because that served me my purpose. Or if you have some extra goals, look for it, but look it with a pace, live life, think about it, and then go and make the choice. I think that's the movie.
Thanks. Yash, anything that you would want to add onto, the amazing thoughts we've gotten from Anirudh so far?
I think I'm in alignment with both of them. I think jack of all trades, master of none does not make any sense. Jack of all trades, master of two, or a master of one. I think either will do. And do not fall prey to this, the good combination of the concept. I think I'll just, it is very important to understand, the combinations. You can make any number of combinations, n number of combinations, but yeah, this two professional course or a combination, if somebody says that, it is like a combination that you can make, just a kind of a warning. Research about it. Think about it, what actually you want to do, what interests you, what is your thought process, where do you want to land yourself, what actually excites you. I think there are a lot of questions, pre-set questions. I think, you can just answer those questions and then you will reach whether you want to do this particular course or not. Do not do this only for the combination concept. If you do this, it's like you have achieved nirvana or something. So,
it's not like burgers and fries when it comes to combination. It doesn't go perfectly well.
Nidhi, the best thing is people miss to say is that, combinations are really best, but the kind of effort and the pain that you have to, incur to be there, that's one story which I always say. My parents, who always told me a lie that, 12 पढ़ लो सब ठीक हो जाएगा. सब ठीक हो जाएगा.
that keeps on increasing.
सब ठीक हो जाएगा. करियर सेट है.
बस चलता जा रहा है. Till now I convince myself ये कर लो सब ठीक हो जाएगा.
I think
बस एक और चीज कर लेते हैं, सब ठीक हो जाएगा. Also, I think one thing I do want to add is that at least in the US and Canada market, because I've worked in these markets, I can tell you this for sure. CPA is only CA. I mean, CA is good. CPA is only an entry degree. You have to specialize beyond that here. Especially if you want to move to Canada, which is extremely competitive. US has way more opportunities. So guys, if you're having any plans like that, just make sure कि आप CPA तो करो, but that is an entry level यहाँ पे CPA सब है. And Canada also has its own CA. So most people who are your peers or who are competing with you in the job market, they have CA, they have CPA, they have an additional language like French, Spanish, Korean. यहाँ पे everybody is almost multilingual. Apart from that, they're educated here. They're from here. So you have a lot of things, that you don't have a lot of things that your competitors already have. Because I'm always like, कि भाई job market में कौन है जिसके साथ I am competing. So you have to always think also beyond a CPA at some point. ऐसा नहीं है कि आप 25 पे सोचो, but just keep it in mind कि 4-5 साल के बाद भी अगर जो भी है, you will have to keep it in mind कि कुछ करना पड़ेगा, because again CPA is यहाँ पे entry level. If you look at Toronto job, I can tell you, like I was trying to interview for 8 to 10 months now. So CA CPA is entry level, like that is the first requirement, and then they'll have another requirement, CIA, CISA preferred. वो preferred नहीं होता है, वो required होता है. So wherever they are mentioning preferred, it is required. And then there are some things that they'll not write in the job description that they'll tell you in the interview. So just keep that in mind. कि 1 या 2 degree के बाद the race doesn't stop, and it's not a race. Just do it at your own pace. But constant upskilling is the key. Also, I think we have really enjoyed the session, such a chatty session. But before that, I do want to mention that, guys, if you are considering, doing CA, do consider the Iconic patch that Unacademy has. It's such a fantastic opportunity that's out there. You guys will get mentorship, you get selected notes, so much community building. You've already heard from these three amazing Iconic coaches that we have so much knowledge, so much valuable information, so much experience coming in together to guide you. So make sure you check that out as well. And before you leave, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe to YouTube. पर सब कहते हैं लेकिन हम दिल से बोल रहे हैं तो please कर देना. Don't forget to do it. Alright guys, any ending comments or thoughts from you all? We'll probably go with Anirudh first.
Sure, I'd probably like to add on to what you said about the Iconic program. I've personally come on board as a coach in the last 1 month or so, and it's really refreshing to guide candidates because we've personally been through a similar journey, and it's very nice to see that if I wish I had something like this when I was younger, right, to probably guide me on a path. So please do check out this program if you're a CA aspirant. That's what I'd say. The other part, coming to the CS CPA CMA part, I'd probably like to stick to the same part in terms of know what your niche is and then make a detailed call or a detailed decision based on that. Don't rush into it because people are doing it around you, right? So please take a step back, evaluate every single opportunity, do your due diligence, and then take a step in that way.
Very true.
Perfect. Pooja, what do you have to say?
I think rightly said, Anirudh. I really sometimes feel jealous of this next gen because they have got so much of things to explore. So I think this Iconic batch, when I talk to kids here, they've got so many questions and they have a ready person to answer. So I think if you get an opportunity like that, one should definitely not miss it, specifically for the price that they're offering you. So I'm like, if you get a coach and you get good set of teachers, and those teachers are not just restricted, because it tends to be like you pick up a teacher, you don't like the way he's teaching, and then you can't switch. But I think that versatility that's being offered here, where you can switch your teachers, you can have access to so many books, speak to so many people, have a crowd where you can put up your doubts. I think that's all what you need in your journey of CA, a guidance along with so much of course access. And as Anirudh said, there's a lot of there on the social media. You need a filtered set of information. So this platform is offering you filtered set of information, which is definitely good. You get an access to people who are from the industry, working with so many good firms and companies. You get an access to all of it. So why not go for it? But again, coming back to the question of CA, CPA, CMA, choose things at time, making as a choice as what your forte is. Take time. There's no rush. Life is big. You can take baby steps and there's no age to learn anything. So, I might do a course at the age of 40 or 50 because I want to do it. So just do it, but just see that do you really want to do it? Just question yourself because that's more important, because what we miss in today's life is that, we have stopped loving our profession because that was not ever that we wanted to do. So first fall in love with the thing that you want to do, research, and then go ahead with it. That's it from my side. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Yash.
I think both of them have beautifully put it together. So rather than just enlarging it or just adding words to it, I think I'll just echo with both of them. Very much important. And in terms of the Unacademy, I think this is a complete package. Please do check out this package, what this package is offering. I think the cost benefit analysis. I think the cost is available at a very, very lucrative price. So I think please do check, and thank you everyone, whosoever has joined and whosoever has spent their time listening to us.
Thank you guys. I hope this session was helpful, and we all hope that we'll see you in the Iconic batch with these amazing mentors. Take care.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What are we supposed to do? Is the live off? I put Pooja left. Am I supposed to leave?